Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into this show tonight. It's going to be an interesting topic that I'm going to speak on, and the topic is emotional surrender. So when we think about the concept of surrendering, my first impression is this battle going on in the field with people with muskets shooting at each other and cannons and going up to the top of the hill and fighting this epic battle. And after a period of time, one side figures out that they're outnumbered or they cannot overcome the objective of the battle, and overwhelmed, they give up in defeat and wave the white flag to end the conflict. But that's not what it is a little bit what emotional surrender is about, but there's a different little twist. And so I'm going to talk about emotional surrender in particular in relationships as the example. And so there are many of us, probably all of us, that have been in a relationship with someone where things aren't going really good, and you try and you try and you try to make things work, to appease the other person, to turn the other cheek, to talk about things with the hope that things will get better, that things will turn different. And it's like, even though you're not fighting with weapons, you are fighting yourself on this internal battlefield where you just don't want to give up. You don't want to wave the white flag of surrender to this other person because you've invested so much time and energy into the whole situation. But when we're talking about emotional surrender, it's really not about failure or defeat. It really is about making a decision to just let the situation go, to have whatever is going on, this bad thing that is going on in your life, just come to an end. When we give up, we come to the realization that we can't change or manage the situation anymore. We might be living in overwhelm for a long time, and we give up and we let go of the fact or the hope that something can be different, that something can be better. And if I give it a little more time, or if I put in a little bit more effort, that it will change. But as we were talking about last week, that's a form of false hope, that you're hoping that it will change. And when you come to the realization, the sometimes hard realization that it's not going to change, really the only thing that you can do is accept that it's not going to change, and then let it go, and then just surrender yourself to the situation. Because the reality is that you did all you could and you tried as hard as you could, but it didn't do anything. It didn't change anything. So imagine this. Sorry. Oh, and I got a piece of paper. Okay, so imagine this. You're working on a project. You have this goal, but you just keep hitting these obstacles. And the image I keep getting in my head is you keep banging your head into this wall, trying to get through this door to the other side so that it can be better, so that you can start moving forward with your life, with the situation, with that person, to take it to the next level. But you can't, because it's not moving, it's not shifting, it's not doing anything. It's just you applying all of this effort, and the only response you're getting is a sore noggin from banging your head into that wall. But when you surrender, when you say, okay, I'm tired of banging my head into this wall, and let it go, a lot of the times you can take a step back. And what you might notice is that there's a door over there. Might not be this door that you're trying to get through, that obviously is a brick wall, but there might be a door over there that's going to take you to a different place or a different opportunity in your life. And it gives you the chance to start having forward movement again in your life, where before you were just stuck in this pattern of repetition, 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 and really not getting anywhere. I've had a number of clients who have come to me, and they have, they have serious health concerns. They have mobility issues, they have some chronic condition where life is not the same for them anymore. And they come with this hope that I can somehow say, here, take this supplement and everything's going to be better. Or if I do some energy work on them, everything is going to be better. But sometimes those situations are, that's where you're at. And what I usually counsel them in is, maybe what you need to do is surrender to it and say, okay, this is where I am today, and own the fact that it's really hard for me to get up and walk across the room. That's my reality. Because when you start from that place of the reality of what's going on with yourself and in your life, you might sit there and do some supplements or do some exercises or whatever it is that you might incorporate into your routine. And you find that you can, after a while, get up and move across the room a little bit better, and you can gauge the small changes, the small positive changes that are going on in your life, versus always looking at it from a place of, I don't have it, and I'm never going to have it, and my life is never going to be the same again. On Facebook recently, I saw a post about this guy who I guess had polio when he was a kid, and literally lived in an iron lung his entire life. And all right, and I'm like totally kind of making this up, but he learned to do stuff like with his mouth in this iron lung, and like wrote books and got a law degree. He did and achieved all of this stuff. But I'm assuming that internally he accepted the fact and surrendered to the fact that this was his life and there wasn't much opportunity for him to change that. And so he just moved forward. He moved through a different door, and look at all of the things that he achieved. It's kind of mind-blowing. So when we surrender, it opens the door for us to create transformation in our lives. But a lot of times we're afraid of letting go of the old, and not knowing what these changes are going to be or what life is going to look like on the other side. And so it can often leave us stuck in that situation. And sometimes we hang on so long that, in addition to being hard to let go, we just don't know what to do. We just don't know. But sometimes those are the points where the most miraculous transformations can happen. Because if you're not afraid, and if you allow yourself to surrender to this is where it's at, then there's not an expectation of this is where I should be, and you can open the door for miracles to happen to you. So are you feeling stuck in your life? Is there something that you need to accept, that this is where you are versus this is where I should be? Then maybe it's time that you surrender to the situation and open yourself up to the possibilities of a new tomorrow. Okay. Okay. So, and if there's issues going on in your life where you're having challenges letting go, or you're hitting this fear, or you're not sure if it's something that you should let go of, or if you should keep working on and moving forward in that situation, give me a call, drop me a note, go to soulhealer.com and drop me a line, and we can set up a time for a private consultation. In addition to all the other things that I can help you with. But if making the decision or figuring out if you should be surrendering to what's going on in your life, I can help you sort through that. I would love to. Okay. And then Thursday Night Live is brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics, where you can learn to become a medical intuitive counselor, or certified energy medicine practitioner, all from the comfort of your home. You can go to my website, appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, and download my free Jumpstart Your Intuition guide that's loaded with information, and there's exercises for you to start tapping into your intuitive abilities. And finally, I have two things. If you're listening to the show in a recorded format on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute or X or wherever you might be catching it, and you want to join the live fun, the best and the easiest way is to go to my YouTube channel, and that's Just Energy Radio on YouTube. That's 3 words, Just Energy Radio on YouTube, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central, and we would love to see you here. And then, okay, so this is not a promotional thing, but I am going to be starting doing a bunch of YouTube videos kind of similar to this, but in a more frequent fashion, as well as doing a bunch of video shorts. And so I've been reaching out to people to see if they have any input of topics that they would be interested in me covering. And so if you're on Facebook, drop me a note. If you're on YouTube, put it in the comments section, not in the chat for tonight, because I will never see that. I would love your input, and you just never know what I'll come up with. You just never know. Okay. And as always, I would really love it if you would connect with me on social media. You can like or subscribe to my different accounts, YouTube, Substack, Twitter, and Rumble. And I would really appreciate the additional followings. And, please do share this show with your friends who might be able to use some insight and guidance that I can provide them. Okay. With all that said, oops, I gotta get my cards. Okay, so I don't want you guys to laugh. So they sit there and talk about, oh, if you have tarot cards, you should put them in a silk bag and have them in a box and, like nurture them and do all this like ritual stuff. I am like, so not. So this is their bag, and they've had this Ziploc bag for years. And that's their bag. Because you really don't need to have silk or any of those things. You just need to be conscious and clear your cards before you use them. Okay. And again, I'm going to ask, if you want to communicate with me, you want to get a reading, please do use all uppercase letters. If you guys are just chit-chatting with each other, please use lowercase so that I can separate out who's trying to talk to me versus you guys just visiting. And I love that you guys visit. Okay? All right. We're up at the top. So Marco's number 1, and he says, amazing hair and red lips, big upvote. Thanks, Marco. Love you. And thanks for being here first. You're number 1 today. And then ERRT Radio says, hi, Dr. Rita. You and your hair look amazing. May I have a reading number 3, please? You sure can, ERRT Radio. So I'm assuming you guys have heard the news. I mean, this week we lost Ozzy, which is like, what? And Hulk Hogan just died. And the musician Chuck Mangione just died. All in 1 week. And it's like, holy crap. You know, and last week I was talking about just like the weird energy and transitions that are going on. Well, that's some 3 heavy hitter transitions in my book. Okay, so ERRT Radio, that's your card for today. So I see like a dual thing going on with you. I mean, I feel like on one level, your energy is kind of calming down and getting more grounded, but I feel like there's a certain lack of trust that is sitting in the background. You know, so it's hard for me to separate out if the lack of trust has to do with a specific situation or if it has to do with you recapturing your energy. I don't know. And the impression I get when I kind of feel into that lack of trust thing is that it feels appropriate for you to question and have doubts about what's going on or a certain person. Your sensitivity seems like it's on, like it is the vibe. Okay, it is the vibe. And I think that's the piece you needed to hear. Okay. And then Joe, hey Joe. She says, hi, Dr. Rita, looking forward to your talk. May I have a number 3 tonight? You sure can, Joe. Interesting. All right, that's your card for today. Okay, so Joe, when I look at your energy, I feel like, and the way that I'm going to frame it is that you have a decision that you need to make. I feel like you're not really liking the choices. And because you're not liking the choices, it's creating a lot of confusion in your space. I see that energy really sitting in your stomach and in your 3rd chakra area. There's a part of you that worries that you're making a mistake. But I feel like when you check in on more of a soul level, that you're getting a yeah, and you already know the answer, but you're just not doing it. Yay. So I'm not going to tell you to do it, but your soul is kind of like, maybe you need to surrender to the situation and it will all work out the way that it needs to work out. All right, I need to give myself a little more space. Okay, that's better. All right, Master Player, evening, a number 1, please, and thank you. You sure can, Master Player. All right, let's see what you got going on. Okay, interesting for you. That's your card for today. So Master Player, you know, all right, so it's interesting because usually when this card comes up, and this is in the Rita vocabulary, it's about that you are nurturing yourself and taking care of yourself. But when I look at your energy, I feel like everything seems a bit riled up. You know, so maybe the hope is that you can get things calmed down. Okay. So I get the impression that there is somebody else involved in this whole dynamic, that, and I might be reading into this too much, but that you're almost like waiting for an apology from, or waiting for them to validate you or notice you. Um, and I feel like that's been upsetting to you. Especially, I feel like you've been putting out a lot of energy, and I'm going to say for this person, and either it hasn't been reciprocated or it hasn't been acknowledged, and you're not digging it, not digging it. So, maybe it's a conversation that you need to have. If this is a repeat situation where you're constantly giving your energy and doing and supporting people, and it's not being recognized and acknowledged, and you're not even getting a thank you, then maybe you need to rethink that energy exchange and make a decision to not give that person all of your energy. Because one, there's part of you that's expecting something back, the thank you. Um, but if it's constantly that way, is it worth it to you? Is it worth it to you to put out your energy that's not being reciprocated in any way, which you don't like? Hey, Unar. Oh, they changed this thing. That's a pain in the butt. Hi, Unar. Hi, Amy. And she says, hi, Dr. Rita. Happy Thursday. Can I have a number 2 today, please? Thank you. And Amy, you can. So these readings have already been starting to come out, like feeling kind of heavy. Not in a bad way heavy, but heavy. And so if they're resonating with you, please, follow up with me and give me some feedback. I would really appreciate it. All right, Amy, that's your card for today. All right, Amy, what do you got going on? Okay, so Amy, I'm feeling like there's part of you that is, and I'm going to say tired of the crap. The biggest thing that I can share is that, I feel like it's time for you again to back your energy off, to do some nurturing to Amy, and to regroup yourself. I feel like your energy is feeling pretty scattered right now. And when you get scattered that way, you get kind of cranky. And I know that you're trying to like not be that way. And so getting some quiet time, relaxing, doing things like that are going to help you pull your energy back together. Okay? Okay. All right, there's Unar again. Hi, Dr. Rita. May I have a 3 tonight? You sure can, Unar. Uh-oh. All right, Unar. Okay, that's your card today. So Unar, the first thing that I'm feeling about you is this kind of sense of dread. I'm feeling like this heaviness in your head, and I'm feeling it right here. So I don't know if, we can have energy sit there for a couple of reasons. One is we're having some kind of like allergy thing going on, which will sit in the front of the face, or you're ruminating about something and it's just going on over and over in your head, and it's just creating this brain strain. I think my topic tonight was very timely for what's going on with you guys. Um, and I'm going to say, I feel like what's going on is not anything that you can fix or change, because it's not really yours in the first place. And so, kind of like Amy, maybe backing your energy out of it and just taking some time for you to be you and to have the opportunity to let go of or surrender to the situation and find your zen, find your present moment, be mindful and get back into that quiet place that I know you can have. Okay, let's see. Don, wow, you're like really early today. Hi, Don. It says, good evening, Dr. Rita. May I get a number 1? You sure can, Don. All right, that's your card for today. So, Don, this is a very different energy for you. You're showing me like this, I'm calling my power back energy, kind of like the warrior energy. I feel like, and I don't know if I want to say you put up a boundary, or no, I'm going to frame this differently. You decided to put yourself first, which is a new thing, because usually you fall into that victim place of what people are doing to you and then not liking it. And I feel like you today, what you're showing me is that no, you're not going to do that to me. And I'm going to value myself, and I'm going to put myself on the pedestal. I am the king and I'm all that, not in a big headed ego way. And honor and own yourself and own your space. So you definitely have to comment on that, because this is really cool. This is really good. Thank you, Don. All right. All right. So James is in the house. James Arthur Janchik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. So James and I go back a long way. And I used to do something on his show, which is Feet to the Fire, which was a soul healer moment, which is actually very similar to what I do here at the introduction of this show. I would do like a 15-minute spot, except on his show, I like typed everything up and I read it, which was not that good because my reading skills kind of suck. And here I just kind of free float it, which seems like it works a lot better. All right, there's that piece of paper. It's gone. All right, so James, you did not ask for a reading, but you're going to get one anyway, because I know you need one. You need one. Uh-oh. Back again. And I'm going to do a 2 for you, James. Interesting. Okay, that's the card that came up. Okay, so James, I don't know if this is something that is possible for you to do, but I'm feeling like you need to give the whole situation some space. So if you could stay with someone for a few days, like take the weekend to go somewhere or do something. It's not even really about doing something. It's about you not being at home and you just separating from that environment so that you can reclaim you. Maybe do some meditation, do some energy work, tapping, whatever it is that you do. to reground and re-find your space. I'm feeling like home isn't feeling right now, and that it's just really uncomfortable. And so anything that you can do to not have to be in that environment, I think would be really helpful for you. Okay, let me know if I'm hitting you guys. Okay, so we have someone, new face. Hi, someone. Oh, I get it. Someone. Okay, so I see that there are some people that have just put they would like a reading, and this is to you also, someone. If you would like a reading, just post down below, I would like a reading, and put in a number from 1 to 3. And that would be the number of times I'll shuffle the cards on your behalf. So 1 through 3. And well, I'll do the reading, but do it really fast because sometimes I don't get a chance to get to the bottom of the list. Okay. So Karen's here. She says, hi, Dr. Rita. Good to be here. Can I please get a reading number 3? You sure can, Karen. All right, Karen, let's see. Interesting. All right, that's your card for today. So Karen, this is interesting. I feel like, and I'm going to keep it like in a short period of time. Today, really recently, maybe in the last hour, that you feel like your space has opened up, that you're feeling present, that you are feeling connected. I feel like you went through a phase where you were feeling kind of disconnected. I've seen worse in people, but I feel like you've kind of gone through the dark night of the soul and you are moving up on the other side. So I'm very curious how that moves forward, but I feel like you are feeling better. And when we feel better, then the world better. Okay, so Deborah, same thing for you. If you could repost and give me a number from 1 to 3, I would love to give you a reading. Hi, Daniel 144, same thing for you. If you'd like a reading, just put, a number from 1 to 3 in the chat below, and I will do a reading for you. Then Joe says, your talk tonight reminds me of the quote by Einstein. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Yes, it is. All right. So Yvonne, hi, girl. All right, number 2. Number 2. Uh-oh. So for the new people, and why I hold these up, so these cards are called mask cards, and usually they'll turn up when there's something that you don't want to look at, that your energy is blocked, that there's a certain level of denial going on. And I will pull cards until I feel like the energy clears and then read that card. Uh-oh, Yvonne. All right, I pulled one and then you got another one. So I'm wondering what all is going on. That's a good card, but I'm not feeling that. All right, I'm going to go with this card. So the impression that I'm getting in kind of like looking at these all in a general context is, Yvonne, I feel like you have been trying to frame yourself into being this person, like, and that person is not you. I feel like what you're running up against is you hitting your integrity, you wanting to be your authentic self, but not really being able to do that. And I guess the biggest thing that I'm challenged is that you're just not, there's this feeling that this is who I'm supposed to be. Maybe there's some shame. And I think shame, actually, I'm going to write that down as a topic. That there might be some shame of like, well, if people see who I am, then they're not going to like me, or something to that effect. But I really feel like this pretense, this almost false self that you are choosing to take on is really messing with your groove. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. I think you know what I'm talking about. Please know what I'm talking about. All right, you guys, very interesting readings tonight. And as always, if they're vibing with you, let me know. All right. I'm going to do a little quick clear shuffle here. Okay. And if they really are working for you, or if they're not working for you and you think I have really great hair, I would appreciate it if you would stop by my little tip jar, and you can get that at soulhealer.com/live. That's soulhealer.com/live. And there's a link for PayPal, as well as like shopping carts that you can use to leave me a little something, something for my time and energy. So anyway, okay. Bradley. Hey, Bradley. It is so nice to see your face. And then Don said, Dr. Rita, I think one of the hardest things in life is to be positive and keep up that thought through life. But Don, it's not that you have to be positive all the time and have that be 24/7. But if you can have that be more than not, and find the blessing. Okay, so this is a choice. So, this was like a month ago. I was leaving planning and zoning, talking to the electrical inspector, and I was heading to the gym. And I get to the gym and I get out of my car, and this woman goes, hey, you have a flat tire. And now I could have got really upset because now I have a flat tire that I have to go deal with. And the first thing that came in my mind was, wow, I'm parked in front of the gym, and it's loaded with like big burly guys who I can go get to change my tire. And then I went and they changed my tire, got somebody to change my tire, and I went and got a new tire. And what could have turned into like an entire day of me being cranky and whatever was I found the blessing in it, which was I wasn't like stuck on some road somewhere that nobody traveled with me in my broke car. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. All right. Yvonne says, great hair considering the summer. No kidding. Well, the humidity has gone down here in Texas, so you can actually have hair that's not one giant frizz. All right. So Bradley says, if you have time, I need to look closer at something. Reading number 2. Okay, Bradley. Okay, so that's your card for today, which is, do I need to say anything, Bradley? The impression that I'm getting is that you're in a situation right now that really all you want to do is escape. I feel like you feel that the more gentlemanly thing to do, the thing that has more integrity, the more appropriate thing to do is to stay. But every piece of your being says, I want to cut and run. And you need to honor that piece of yourself that's saying, I want to cut and run. Run, Bradley, run. I hope that helps. Okay. All right, Master Player says, I do have a lot of people that do owe me an apology or I'm out. Well, and Master Player, one of the things that I talk to people about or that I suggest is putting people in purgatory. And so when you put them in purgatory, you kind of put them over there and you really stop doing favors for them and you still interact with them, you're still fine, but they're kind of like a little bit under a magnifying glass so that you can see, like, am I the one giving all the energy, or is there an exchange of some kind or another? And if you make the determination that you're putting out too much time and energy and you choose, to make that decision, then it makes it easier to exit out of it because you have like some evidence, but you're also not investing a ton of time and energy into people that aren't going to give back. And I know that sounds really, really transactional, but for people that tend to be givers, you really have to be that way sometimes, just so that you can kind of create a level playing field and move out the people that the takers, because the takers aren't going to go because you are still giving. But I'll tell you what, when you sit there, I've had this happen, and you sit there and say, I'm not giving anymore, you would be surprised how fast that door will slam in your face. In your face. Just saying. So if you do make that choice to kind of make separation, be prepared that there might be some kind of repercussions from those people, because that always happens, especially if they're a taker. Let's see. And Master Player says, thank you, Rita. Great hair. You're so welcome. Joe says, thank you, Dr. Rita. I'm thinking about what you said, so I hope it made sense and, gives you some guidance. Okay. Someone says, Rita, can you read me a 2, please? You sure can, someone. And someone, all of my friends call me Dr. Rita. Just saying. It's a 2. All right. Okay, that's your card for today. So I just get the impression that the world around you has been really intense lately. I feel like your ability to feel energy or be responsive to energy has increased more. It's interesting because I feel like you've been on a path for a while and you've been moving out a lot of junk, from your space, whether that's people or emotions or beliefs. And it has made you be more sensitive and actually more of who you are than you have in the past. And so when you're starting to feel overloaded, or you're starting to notice feeling overloaded, I feel like before you were overloaded all the time. And so you couldn't really separate out, like me not overloaded and me overloaded. And so, it's okay to take a step back and regroup and find your space again and take some time to discharge all of this energy that really isn't yours. Okay? Ooh. We have Linda Swan, and she says, greeting from New Zealand. Hi, Linda Swan from New Zealand. Welcome to America. Could I have a 1, please? And you sure can, Linda. Okay, and that's your card for today. Okay, so Linda, this is interesting. I'm not sure if this has totally manifested yet. I'm not even sure if this is really on your radar. Um, and I don't predict the future, okay? So this isn't coming to me as a future prediction kind of thing. But I just keep getting this impression about like you leading something, you leading people, you going off in a new thought. Um, and just doing your thing, separating yourself out from the pack, out from the herd. And I'm framing it as a future thing because I feel like it's either in the planning phase and it's not something you've started working on, or it's just like sitting in the back of you, bubbling up. And I can't really separate out like where in the process you are. It feels pretty early, but I feel like there's some twinges of this new dynamic coming in for you. So very cool. Very cool. And again, everyone, if these readings are hitting for you, I would love some feedback. Okay, Unar says, thank you, Dr. Rita. I was robbed by a porch pirate the other day. Something valuable, and I've been ruminating on that. I will let it go now. So, I mean, I don't know if you have like a Ring doorbell, one of the video things, but I don't know if you can get your money back because you didn't get it, and if you have like a Ring doorbell, then you at least have evidence that somebody came and took it. I'm not really sure like what the procedure is on that whole thing, but I'm from New York. We complain about everything, and you just don't mess with our money, so I would I would be on the phone going, well, you delivered it, but somebody stole it off my porch, so how is that my fault? I mean, I didn't even get a chance to break it or nothing. Just saying. Christine, hey, girl. And she said, may I get a reading number 2? You sure can. And again, guys, if there's any topics that you think would be interesting to either use for this show or to use for some YouTube shorts, I would love your input because you guys know me and you know the kind of stuff I like talking about. Okay, Christine, that's your cards. That's the second time this card's come up tonight. Okay, interesting. So, Christine, I get the impression that the people around you, a situation, whatever, it's like they're trying to put a box around you, like, well, this is how you're supposed to be, and these are what the rules are, and we have this expectation that you follow these rules. And I feel like that whole thing is just bouncing up against your integrity, and you're not digging it real good. I also get the impression that you have not invested a lot into this whole thing. So if it's not vibing with you, we've talked about things vibing with us or not. If it's not vibing with you, then don't do it. Just don't do it because it won't get better. You're just compromising yourself and giving up your integrity by doing what they want that's not in alignment with your personal values and your personal viewpoints. All right. So Amy says, exactly what's going on. Giving myself a permission slip to focus on me. Heading to the tip jar. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. You're always so good to me. So again, don't forget, you can leave me a little something, something in that tip jar. I would appreciate it. Read it or soulhealer.com/live. So Dawn said, yes, again, you're right on. I'm trying to be what I need to be. But Dawn, you have been doing so good, and I'm so proud of you. And I say this all the time, but I am, and I don't lie. Growing up, my mom would ask me something like, did you break the vase? And I would just, like, no. And she would look at me and then go, okay. She goes, because you don't lie. And I don't lie. I really don't. All right. Tammy. Hi, Tammy. You seem like a new name here. Glad to have you. I will do a number 3 for you. Okay, so Tommy or Tammy. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I'm going to say Tammy. That's your card. Okay. So Tammy, the biggest thing that I'm seeing around you is this, the way I'm going to express it is waiting for inspiration to come and get you to move forward. It makes me wonder, kind of based on some other dynamics that I see going on, if you tend to be a bit of a procrastinator. Because I'm feeling like there's also this kind of like beat up energy that's tied to it. And the biggest thing that I'm feeling is that, there's stuff that you want to do in places where you want to go, but your fear is keeping you from taking that step forward to kind of break through the resistance that is keeping you stuck where you are right now. I hope that makes sense. All right. Hi, Joe. You're a new name. Welcome to the show. Okay. Master Player says, interesting comment, Rita. I never know. So some said, thank you, Rita. And then Christine says, thanks, makes complete sense. Wow, I actually made it to the bottom of the list. Oh, hang on. Okay, so Maria Amethyst Salinta. Okay, so Maria, I don't answer specific questions. If you would like for me to pull a card for you, you can make a choice of 1 to 3, and that's how many times I'll shuffle the card. If you would like to get a private consultation, you can go to my website, soulhealer.com, and set up a time for a private consultation. Oops. All right, so I'm going to give Maria a chance to comment if she would like. Anybody else have any questions, any feedback on some of these readings? Because some of them were kind of explicit. Okay. All right, guys. Well, there aren't any other comments, and so I am going to cut out again. If you need to or want to schedule a private consultation with me because you have stuff that you need to talk about, please go to my website, soulhealer.com. That's soulhealer.com. And so then, till next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live.